Hello, my name is Ulrike. I teach people how to connect with their horse. I teach riding, I teach horse dancing, which is a form of groundwork, and I teach personal development with horses um, all over Europe in 3 languages. And today I want to speak with you about riding with consciousness, and I want to tell you the case of a horse that we worked with, just to show you how this work goes, and just to show you something that you can take home with your horse and try it out. So first, a few words about the concept. The concept is that everything I want to do with a horse is based on first making a real connection between you and the animal. And with a connection, I mean an energetic connection. Because with a horse, we cannot talk. We cannot speak in human language. We cannot reassure that the other is really there because it is answering our questions in an appropriate way. With a horse, we have to go into present time and wait until the horse can find us in present time and until we feel something that most riders do not know. But we can learn how to feel this. We can learn how to feel real connection, how to feel it energetically, how to feel connection as an energy. That is something not so known in the human world, but actually also our human communication is 90% nonverbal and is 90% this seeking of connection, and it is 90% this awareness of whether the connection is there or it's not there, whether we're connected or whether we are separated. So learning this with a horse also benefits greatly in our human communication. So finding this connection with a horse is based on two beings, a human and a horse, really being there in their bodies. And that is having an awareness of their body and also being allowed to be in their body. And that is something that we are taught out of as children. As children, we're very aware of our physical presence. We're really in our body. If you want to know what present time awareness is, you can watch children, because children are very connected to their body. They act out what they feel. They act out what they think. They act out their consciousness, their present time consciousness. It's not separated. But as we grow up, we learn how to separate. We learn how to control, which is a good thing in itself. But for riding, we really need to go back into this present time awareness of our body, and in this immediate expression of our awareness through the physical, because that is what the horse does. For the horse, it's the same thing. For the horse, it's very natural to be in this present time. But when horses are brought into new situations, or when horses are submitted through dominance, or when horses are traumatized, they will, just like humans, leave their body, dissociate from their body, and not really be there. And the story I want to tell you today is not about a human finding into its presence as a rider, but it's a story about Sally, a young paint horse that needed to come into her body when a rider was sitting on her. The problem with Sally, that's what the owner told me, was that as soon as somebody would sit on her back, she would allow that, no problem. She would not bark. She would not do anything dangerous. But what she would do is she would run off. As soon as somebody was on her back, she would start to run. And it was very hard to control that. You needed power and strong aids on the bit and all of that. Something that you really don't want to do. You want to start a different way. You want to first make a connection and find subtlety before you use hard tools. So she asked me to ride the horse and find out what could be done. I rode this horse. I tried what I can do. Tried consciousness. Tried to find connection. Tried technique. Tried everything. But what happened was, as soon as I stopped doing anything, the horse would run to the gate of the riding arena, and that tells me that the horse just wanted to get out. If there would not have been a fence, it would have run away with me. So on the next day, I looked for an experienced rider that was in the workshop, and I asked this rider to sit on the horse, and I would help this rider through being on the ground, through speaking with the rider and giving support. Try to see if we could find a solution, and watch from the outside what was really going on with Sally. What we had experienced before, that Sally was a horse that connected very easily, very easily. You would walk up to her and she would connect, and she would stay with you. She would not go away. That was her place of safety, to be connected with a human in this case. So I knew that she could really connect. But with the rider on her back, she could not connect. She did not know the situation, or she had not experienced before. She had learned riding, but she had not experienced that riding could be a way for her to connect. She had not made this experience. And because she needed connection so much, just like any horse, she was looking for this connection elsewhere. So it was really odd. We were some people standing in the riding arena. Me was standing on the ground, and there was other workshop members that wanted to watch. And what Sally would do is she would walk up to one of the people on the ground, and she would stand there. She would stand there. She would connect very close, put her head on the side of someone, get in touch, and feel safe. It was very obvious. And it was very hard to get her away from there. Very subtle aids, some steps. But then she would immediately turn back to the next person on the ground and stay there and connect. She was looking for connection because there she could find safety. As soon as she was alone with the rider, you could see she was not in her body. She was running, and she was dissociated. Dissociated means not associated with her body. She could not stay in her body. Her body was doing something that she had no control over. And because she was so dissociated, she was so out of her body, the rider could not get through to her. Whatever the rider did could not get through to her. She could not feel it because she was not there. This is a behavior that animals do to protect themselves when a situation is too threatening. And in this situation, they cannot feel, and they cannot react. So what could we do? What we could do is to invite Sally to make some steps away to the place of safety, in this case the people on the ground, and through giving her a little energy that touched her energetic boundaries, her energetic space, to just give a little energy, not too much, it could help her to feel something in her body. Because what she knew was that somebody would come with an overwhelming aid, with a real pushing forward, to get her away from the safety place. The riders before would, like probably many riders would have tried to do this with force, to convince her, yeah, let's go, we go. But this was too much for Sally. This made her dissociate. So we tried to find doses of energy where she could feel her body but not be overwhelmed. And she would walk some steps, and you could see it was not the running away. It was normal, calm steps connected with the rider. 3, 4, 5 steps. And then the fear came back, and she would run back to the people on the ground where she found safety. But we could see that some little steps were possible. So we could see it was not impossible. We could see there is a solution. So we tried again to find the right energy that would wake her up a little bit, to give her a little bit, to wake her up out of this dissociation, to bring her into her body, but not too much, so she would not dissociate, and she could make some little steps. And when the fear came, this was another very important element. When the fear came, to not push her forward, to not push her beyond the limits, but to allow her to give in to the fear, and to allow her to seek her place of safety. So when she made those 5 steps, you could see the fear would come back, and she would dissociate, her eyes would become wide, and she would start to run again and try to get back to the people on the ground. We would allow her. Because allowing her this built trust. It built trust that she could always find the place of safety when she needed it. This was a very, very important point. That she could experience there was no rider sitting on her back that would use force and giving her pain if she was afraid, if she felt fear. That our reaction as the rider would not be force if a horse feels pain. And this is a very, very crucial point, because in the horse world, people talk a lot about dominance. People talk a lot about that you have to lead the horse, that you have to be the boss, that the horse has to do what you want. But when a horse feels fear and you answer with dominance, the horse loses trust. It dissociates, it loses trust, and you lose the horse. And it's very hard to find back this trust. This is something what Sally taught us in a very subtle way, because we had, from one split of a second to the other, we had to feel what was possible. And I have to say, this writer, Christine, was just wonderful in her subtlety, just wonderful. Because she could decide in one moment, yes, Sally can make some more little steps if I give her a little forward help, if I give her a little help to feel her body, to feel this forward movement, to feel the courage, to feel that it works, to walk with the rider on her back, to feel that the connection, to feel that can be connection with the rider on the back, not only with the human on the ground, but also with the rider on the back, so that she could feel connections for some seconds. She could feel this connection. And when the fear came, because this was her experience, this was her reaction to protect herself. When the fear came, the rider would let go, and the rider would allow her to find her place of safety. The rider would take away everything and would allow her to find safety. It was so fascinating. It was so fascinating. It took maybe 15 minutes, and the rider could walk a whole round around the arena with Sally, not in this fast forward walk, in this running, but walking calm in her natural pace, one step after another. You could see, she could feel her body, she could feel her legs. She was connected to the rider. The presence was there. You could see how this horse could come back into her body. It was so fascinating to see how the horse came back into her body and made a whole new experience. Made the experience that she can stay in her body and that this was not a danger. And that the rider on her back helped her to come back into her body. And that she could feel the safety that she needed so desperately, that she could feel this safety in her own body. Because when someone is in their body, they feel safe. And if they're not in their body, they're not safe. It's the same for human and horses. Safety is when you're there in your body, because when you're in your body, you can react. You're in present time, and you have the potential to act quickly, as quick as possible. So when you're in your body, you feel safe. And this horse felt safe once she was in her body and not dissociated anymore. And when she was in her body, she would not have this fear reaction. She would not need to run away, and she would not need to run for safety. And this rider was making the round, and then the fear reaction came again, but it was much more subtle. It was not running away from one moment to another. It was subtle. It was a subtle becoming a little faster, and the rider would allow it. The rider would stop any trying to control this horse. And when I later talked to the rider, Christine told me that for her it was the most profound and touching experience to know when she had to let the horse go and to feel the fear of this horse and the need of this horse to get the control over the situation and to find safety. And the good ending of this whole experience was when later another also experienced sensitive rider was riding Sally, and she had watched before what Sally needed, the subtlety, the giving energy and letting go of energy. And at the end of this woman's riding session, she could bring Sally to a halt to stand still with the rider on her back. And even if there were the people only a couple of meters away, the people that she before had run to desperately every single time she had stopped, she could stand there on her own with the rider on her back and in her body and be quiet and calm. It's very, very touching. And this is the message I want to teach so passionately, is to feel your horse's fear, to feel your horse's dissociation. And if you feel this, to not act dominantly. And in order to feel that, you have to become sensitive. It is something you cannot feel through mere watching the outside movement. It is something that you have to feel from inside. It's something that you have to feel energetically through empathy, through your body, through connecting with the horse, through feeling the energy of the horse that you are sitting on, and feeling this energy in your body, which means having an immediate energetic exchange between the energy of the horse and your energy, and to feel the horse's energy in your body, not in your thoughts, not in your judgment, but to feel it in your body, and to feel this energy of fear, and to feel the difference between a dominant behavior in a horse and fear. Feel the fear in your own body. Feel the fear of the horse in your own body and act according to it. Because when you feel in your body, this is the fastest reaction that you can have. If it's in your mind, if it's mental, it's too slow for the horse. But if you can feel it in your body, and if you can answer in your body with what the horse needs in this moment, if it needs a connection through giving some energy, or if it needs a connection through letting go. These two very, very different reactions, forward energy and letting go, and being so subtle that being able to react to that in the split of a second, then you can find the trust of a horse. And this is something we can train, and that we really need to train. That we really need to train as riders, because if we train that, we can understand the horse and we can find solutions to many problems that before seemed unsolvable. And I invite you to try this with your horse, and I wish you to make this experience from the depth of my heart.